All right, all right. Look at you setting me up. Okay. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Jordan and today I'm here with the book review of The Meaning of Mariah Carey. Who is Mariah Carey to you? That's one thing I would really like. If you're watching this video, like, what does Mariah Carey mean to y'all? Because when I thought about reading this book, I was like, I'm interested in knowing more about her life. She has a career of over 30 years. So pretty much since I knew of music, I knew of Mariah Carey. In my household, she was always played. My sister was the biggest stan. And there's a lot of, I guess, I never thought of it, but there is probably a lot of mystery of Mariah Carey, the person. I think of her as a persona, almost like a living icon, a diva, one of the greatest voices of all time. She has 19 number one singles, and 18 of those she wrote. So don't get it twisted. She's very talented. I just wanted to know more, like, what is one of the greatest voices of all time, one of the biggest divas? What does she have to say? I didn't really have expectations. I was like, I'm just gonna rent it from my library, read the ebook. I was doing that, I was enjoying it, but then I was liking it a lot and heard she actually does the narration via the audiobook. And I did the best thing I could ever do. And I purchased the audiobook. Y'all know me. I don't be purchasing books, y'all. I set up a whole Audible account and everything just to get this because it was through Audible. And it surpassed my expectations. So let's just start with the format of this book. Not only does she narrate this book, I call it a sonography because literally she's singing in the book. Like, a lot of her life is told through her songs. And it's interesting because when you hear these songs, we don't know the backstory behind them. So I, of course, felt like I didn't know Mariah Carey, but she's been telling us pieces of her life the entire time. And I love how she connected her life to the lyrics that were inspired from those moments in her time. So in the book, we're getting pieces of her childhood, adolescence, her adulthood, her relationships, and all of this is the meaning or the making of who she is. And I don't think I realized how much her sheer identity and her family structure shaped so much of who she became as an artist, as well as who she is as a person. Like, we think of the voice, and I think a lot of people talk about her songwriting capabilities, but she even talks about it when you have like this talent or this voice or you're a woman, people don't usually give you the credit necessarily for the other creative avenues that you kind of put on display. So even if people say, oh yeah, she writes, she's one of the greatest songwriters of our time. Who do you know who has written like 18 number one hits, like to make it to number one? That number one. Number two, when you're hearing her tell her story and then she's singing these songs, I'm gonna have to insert a clip. I have been playing her songs on repeat ever since then because I have a new meaning of these songs as well as for Mariah Carey. So let me just play y'all a little taste of what it's like listening to the audiobook. This is why I'm advocating for the audiobook.
The choir swelled that castle with the Spirit. It was a whole Pentecostal moment, and the quiet fellowship congregation didn't know what hit them. It was the power of God's presence in anointed voices. You could feel all the spirits being lifted. Warm breeze, the ecstasy of desire, and the agony of separation that I remembered so clearly. Baby, can you feel me? Imagine me, I'm looking in your eyes. There's one more night with you. My all.
I'm sorry.
This song was about life and death, and I didn't want to get lost in any over-the-top schmaltz.
That's what I'm telling y'all. Like, when you're hearing her sing these songs and hearing the lyrics and then hearing the setup of the backstory that, accompanies what this song is based on, it just makes the book come alive and her story come alive. I felt like that's how all books should be done. Let's get us a musical. Like, go ahead and have a whole soundtrack with everything. But yeah, it's Mariah Carey, so it makes sense. But yeah, if you don't get the audiobook, I don't want you to feel like you're going to be missing out too much. You are, but Getting the physical copy, I actually have debated also getting the physical copy because she has a lot of the images, like actual pictures from her childhood to early in her career to present, that coincide with the different stories as well. So you're getting a lot of visual stimulation from the physical copy of the book, but via the audio, child, you was getting a whole album musical production that accompanies it. So, but outside of just the format of that, Mariah Carey has actually gone through a lot. If I left with anything from this book, I think I left with a greater understanding of who Mariah Carey is. But I also liked that she talked about artists that we knew. Mariah, she names, like, you're going to hear stories from everything from Biggie to Aretha Franklin to Tupac to, I can't even, Patti LaBelle, Little Shady Stuff, Celine Dion's in the book. Like, I mean, she lays it out there. A lot of it is also about her like marriage and a lot of the stuff that she went through. But one of the themes throughout the book, I didn't realize how much it was going to be important for her to talk about race and specifically how that has impacted her life. Being a biracial, white passing person has shaped her life so much, and growing up in a family where she was surrounded by an all white neighborhood, all white, and she, even though she's white passing, the racism that she faced being in that environment, not only in schools and outside, but within her own household, was just interesting. Like, to know that you hear, like, just because you marry a black man or you have these black kids doesn't mean like that internal racism or a lot of that stuff that you're learning, you're not just untaught that overnight. Some of that stuff is deeply rooted. And to hear like a child having to navigate this, it was it was heartbreaking. And it's just like hearing the stories, like at school, anytime someone would find out, and I say find out because that's really what it was like, which when you read the book, you'll understand more about her Black heritage, how that was just kind of used as venom towards her. And even within the structure of her relationship with her siblings, she was the lightest. She was the one who was most close to looking white. And that's just always been something that has shaped who she is, not really her appearance, but people's reaction to her appearance. And that carried over within the music industry, like when she first got on. It's interesting to now knowing and reading her story as to why she had to put out all those remixes. We think, she a remix queen and always got these rappers on her remixes, but those were supposed to be like those original versions, and that was the vision, but her label didn't want her to be too urban. So she had to fight for each one of those and fight so hard to try to get her voice heard, because people had a box that they wanted to put her in. And I just found it fascinating because you kind of wonder some of these things and you don't know the reason of it, but hearing her story and also like the players that were a part of her life, it just kind of comes full circle.
Do you have a favorite remix?
Ooh, that's a good one. And it's crazy because, what's so funny? I didn't even know that Fantasy was a remix. I swear I thought Fantasy, this is on me. And my sister has that remix album, which is really weird. And I know we only listen to, I think, the remix side or something like that, where we wouldn't really listen to the whole thing. But long story short, it would have to be Fantasy with ODB, hands down. For me, like that, as a kid, me and Mariah go back like I'm fast to fire, older, dot no liar. Well, let me see it. As a kid, now when I watch it back and hearing how that was on set, I watched the video and I was like, he was clearly drunk. But as a kid, I just saw him as super animated and, it was fun watching. But do you have a favorite remix?
No, not that I can think of right now. I don't want to answer.
You don't?
I just
Okay.
want to prompt.
Okay. But mainstream wise, I guess I don't realize that some people don't even know of her remixes. Like, some people don't even know of those remixes at all, or any of those songs that she ended up doing with rappers and stuff. I didn't really realize that because that's what I grew up with. So that's how I see her. It was interesting how she would come out with like 2 versions of almost every song, but then you find out why she had to do that and how the industry really didn't want her to be associated with anything black or urban. And how she really had to fight for that part of her identity throughout, from literally the way she looks all the way to the way she sounds and the type of music she writes and makes.
So does she talk about relationships? Like,
yeah, she talks about, okay, Mariah was very vulnerable in this book. Yeah, she talks about relationships in depth, like way more than I think any celebrity would probably go into detail, but she's went through a lot. She talks in depth about her marriage to Tommy, her first husband, and the abuse that she had to go through, and basically being on lockdown and in a super controlling environment. And she also talks about her romance with Derek Jeter. And we got a lot of good songs off of that little short-lived romance. So hearing it now, it's like, oh my gosh, that was because of DJ? Okay. And then also Nick Cannon, you know, and her relationship with him. And another relationship, which you guys got to read, y'all learn more. But yeah, she talks about, she don't hold back, child. Obviously, I definitely recommend this book. One of the things that I loved so much was that I felt like I got a different understanding of not only her as a person, but the industry itself, like the music industry. I just left with a deeper appreciation, again, for her as an artist, as well as for all of the stuff that she has had to fight through as a woman in this industry, and as someone who is black in this industry, and someone who is white passing in this industry, or someone who's biracial in this industry. Like, she has so many different intersectionalities that she has had to deal with people's isms against her towards. I don't know if I said that right, but she's just had to overcome way more than I realized. And a lot of that shows in the art that she puts out, and I don't think I recognized that going through. But now I am. When I'm replaying it, I'm feeling every lyric even more than before. Yeah. All right.
What's your favorite song, Mariah's song?
That's a good one. That's what we're going to do. What is your favorite, if you could pick one, your favorite Mariah Carey song? Whew, that's hard. All right, I'm not going to answer, but y'all answer below, and I'll let y'all know if we align. So what were y'all thoughts when y'all was reading this book? If you have read it, did you guys love it as much as me? I know I did. But yeah, but I really love the audiobook. If there's one format, I would say that format. All right, well, I will catch you guys in another one. Love and light, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Deuces.